Just about 6:40 on WGN. It's John Hansen here. Your Money Matters, and we got our good friends in from Innovation DuPage. Dan Ficini, good to see you as always.
Good to see you, John.
You bring in so many great companies, but today I think is a really important listen for a lot of people in the Chicago and the suburban areas, especially parents. We'll get to that in a moment, but just remind people what it is that Innovation DuPage does.
Yeah, we're a business incubator and accelerator. We're just hitting our 5-year anniversary, and we've served more than 325 companies during that time. And so, it's been great. And our guests here are another one of those companies.
So you started about a year before the pandemic.
Yeah.
When I imagine that you guys became even more essential for businesses.
Absolutely. In order, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people kind of took stock and said, hey, I'm going to start my own business coming out of the pandemic. So we've helped a lot of those folks kind of reinvent themselves and help them with their business ideas.
That's a great point. So many new businesses starting in Illinois. There's no perfect roadmap to a business, but if you can have some people along the way with you to help you make connections, to help you grow, just to spit all ideas off of each other, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a growing kind of cohort of clean tech companies that are working to help make the environment better. Those are our companies that really come to Innovation DuPage to solve a problem, are really kind of amazing and have a lot of opportunity for growth.
Well, you set me up.
One of them.
Yeah, you set me up really well for that. NoahSystem, and we have two people here to talk about that. It's Michael Ramos and Isidro Hurtado. Guys, thanks for hopping on with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Michael, when I think of lead in pipes, I think of Flint, Michigan. Or I think, I have heard a little bit about this in Chicago, but they're ripping up the pipes and we're going to be all good. Is there still a problem with lead in our drinking water in our area?
100%. We have an aging infrastructure across the United States. Chicago has the most lead service lines of any other major city in the country.
Okay.
Over 400,000 lead service lines. They started putting lead service lines in the Chicago homes in the late 1800s, and then it stopped till 1986, till when they were banned. So basically, our infrastructure is rotting from the inside. Our pipes are rusting, and we need to come up with better solutions to try to tackle and get ahead.
Is it just the pipes that we see them ripping out in the street, or is it the pipes that are in our home and in our schools that still exist even if they take those pipes away?
It's all of them. So replacing a lead service line by itself is only like eliminating part of the problem. We need to go further into the home because we got aging infrastructures in the house too.
Okay. When we talk about the need to get lead out of our drinking water, I think that's a universal thing we'd all want to do. Isidro, what do municipalities do right now to combat this? There is a system in place to kind of coat the pipes, and for a little bit of time there's some protections for people. You talked to me about that the other day.
I mean, so there's some protocols. Municipalities will tell residents to run their water for 5 minutes before use. So imagine if a municipality has lead in their water, imagine having to run the water for 5 minutes every time you want to use it. The idea of what that means is, at the treatment facility, a chemical called orthophosphate is put into the water. And what that does is that creates a barrier within the pipes. What that does is that barrier doesn't allow lead to go into your water.
Okay. That sounds good. Where does it fall short?
Well, after once water goes stagnant, that's when you start having a problem. That coating, that barrier of orthophosphate only stays intact for 6 hours. So someone needs to continuously run the water ongoing. So if that water goes stagnant for 6 hours, that barrier breaks down, and now your water is touching lead pipe.
Is that why we see some teachers out there running water for the drinking fountains in schools sometimes? Correct. In the mornings?
Yeah, you'll even see sometimes like in a public park, the water at a drinking fountain is just running nonstop because they're combating lead in their drinking water.
Okay, so you guys came along and did what? Tell us a little bit about what you guys have created here.
We came up with a technology that is an automated flushing system. So what it does is every 3 hours for 3 minutes, water will be flushed through your pipes. So what it's doing is it's keeping water continuously moving through your pipes. So ultimately that barrier stays intact, and ultimately it removes lead from drinking water. Everywhere that we've installed this technology, it's a really simple technology. We have it in 4 different public schools. We have it across residences, not just in Chicago, but in other states. 100% of the time, we've taken toxic lead levels down to undetectable.
Undetectable. Because I know some people say, well, if it's under a certain amount of parts per billion, you're okay. It's a little different for kids, though, isn't it, Michael?
100%. I mean, the EPA will set the action level at 15 parts per billion, but other like medical industry, the medical industry says no amount of lead is safe. So lead has no purpose in the human body whatsoever. So they set that 15 part per billion to try to give like some benchmark for cities and schools and municipalities to reach, because they know that they can handle up to 15 parts per billion.
Right.
If it's above 15 parts per billion, you have to do some remediation.
Right.
If it's under, we could probably get away with it.
Right. We get away with it, but not from a healthy
No,
standpoint.
100%.
Okay.
The CDC says that no parts per billion is good for kids. And the Johns Hopkins just released a study 2 months ago that said that in Chicago, almost 70% of kids under 6 are being exposed to lead in their drinking water. So when you think about Flint, in Flint, 80% of kids that were exposed to lead now require for the rest of their lives special education for learning disabilities.
Wow. Okay. We got to dive deeper into this, but we're up against the break. More with Innovation DuPage and the fine folks at NoahSystem and what they're doing to help. First at 6:45, a look at traffic and weather. Mayor, how are we doing out there? Innovation DuPage, Dan Ficini, Michael Ramos, and Isidro Hurtado from NoahSystem. Guys, we talked a little bit about the need, right? That there are a lot of pipes still in our area that have noticeable detectable lead levels in them. There's a replacement process to this, but Michael, this could take a long time, right?
Yes.
How long?
We're thinking 70 to 100 years.
70 to 100 years to get all the lead pipes
and
out.
over $8 billion.
So what do they expect us to shrug our shoulders and say, well, we'll fix it in the next generation? Like, I guess that's where you guys step in, right?
Yeah, that's the way I kind of look at it. Like, how many generations are going to be impacted by this if we have to wait 70 to 100 years?
Right.
The systems that are in place right now, or the systems that were in place back in 2016 when I started on this, they were all reactionary. We're talking pitcher filters, bottled water, undersink filters. They're all reactionary. What we wanted to do is we wanted to create something that was proactive, that was going to prevent the lead from accumulating in the first place in your pipes, take full advantage of the water treatment and the water quality coming from our treatment plants, take full advantage of that, and coat the inside of the pipes.
Okay.
So we're basically lining every pipe, which means that the water never comes into contact with the metals and basically eradicates lead exposure.
And that's by creating movement in the pipes before it reaches the faucet. What does it look like, Isidro? Is it just like a box that connects to the pipes you already have, or at a school, at the school drinking fountain?
Yeah, so the NoahSystem device is a 5x5 box.
Inches.
So 5x5 inches.
That's important.
So it's, and it basically goes underneath your kitchen sink at home, or it's installed underneath a drinking fountain at a school or a commercial setting. It's pretty easy to install, I'd say. And
Very easy.
I mean, we've taken toxic lead levels to undetectable within days. So, when you think about, there is a solution to remove lead from drinking water, but we're doing it without having to replace pipes. We're doing it and it works 100% of the time.
Wow. And so if a family's out there and they have a drinking fountain, maybe they choose this do they have to do it for every single faucet in their house? Or maybe only the ones they drink out of? Is there benefits? I mean, obviously you'd say let's do all of them, but is there a decline if they only do one of them? Do you know the answer to that, Michael?
Yeah, typically we recommend that they do it underneath the kitchen sink, because that's primarily where the family consumes the water from, where they're cooking with it.
Right.
And that typically is enough to cover the house, because what we're doing is we're drawing fresh, clean water from the main, through the service line, through all the pipes that run through the basement, up to the washing machine, and then up to that kitchen faucet. So we're coating that whole pipe from the main to the kitchen sink.
And again, when you say coating, it's the movement of the water along this 5-inch by 5-inch box that respreads the coat. I don't know how else to say it.
Yes.
Circulates the chemical that acts as a coating through the interior of your house.
Exactly. It's circulating water through the pipe, ultimately making sure that orthophosphate barrier stays intact the entire time, because it deteriorates after 6 hours.
Okay, how much does one of these things cost then?
It's $395.
$395.
$395.
Not $3.95.
No,
That'd be
$395.
I'd start giving it away. Yeah, right. $395. And how long do they last for? Like, is this something you're going to replace every now and then?
So there's no maintenance. Like filters, you got to replace every 6 months. And when you think of the cost of a filter, filters run anywhere, good ones, between $100 and $200. And you have to replace that cartridge every 6 months. We have NOAAs that have been installed successfully in schools, still showing undetectable since 2016, and they have not been replaced, and they're still working strong. They're still testing as undetectable.
So it's a good sign that you haven't found them that have deteriorated or broken.
Correct.
They're just sitting there. Okay, so Michael, my first instinct is, okay, get one for the home. Should parents be, I mean, we're all involved in our kids' educations. Should we be asking questions of our administrators at the schools? Do you have one of these in the drinking fountains? What is your plan for this?
100%. We always, whenever we do presentations and we meet folks, we tell the parents you have to get involved because there's information that CPS, sends out and notifies parents when there is some kind of detection. But what we're trying to do, what we're advocating for is no lead in schools, period. We're not trying to just meet that EPA regulation of just 15 parts per billion or below. We're trying to reach that
undetectable
zero.
So John, parents are only notified when drinking fountains test at 5 parts per billion. Okay, the CDC says no parts per billion are good for kids. So how many drinking fountains are going unnoticed that are at 4 parts per billion, 3 parts per billion? If you have kids, I don't want my kid drinking any parts per billion. And the reality is there's probably thousands of drinking fountains out there. They're still testing showing lead, but because they don't hit that 5 parts per billion mark, nothing's happening.
Someone wanted to know, why not put the box where the water comes in the house?
We could do that too.
Okay.
It's versatile. It's basically very versatile, and it's
sorts of piping and
all
stuff.
sorts of eye wash stations, ice machines, all kinds of stuff.
And what was the name of the material or the chemical compound they use?
Orthophosphate.
Someone says are there downsides to that? You're not putting you're using the municipal.
Yeah, that's already being put in the
already
water.
have that in our
Yeah,
water.
we
Okay.
do.
So that's not like some extra chemical that's being added.
Right. They dose it properly at the treatment plant. We're just making sure that we're applying it. So we're not overdosing it.
Right.
We're just using whatever
You're
is there.
changing no chemical compound of the water except to eliminate the lead.
Correct.
And that's amazing.
And that's why municipalities will tell their residents, hey, just run your water for 3 to 5 minutes. But if they're only doing that once during the day and then they go to work, that barrier is going to break down. By the time they get home,
yeah.
gone.
6-year wants to know, how much does this add to a water bill in the house typically? Any idea? I mean, it depends.
Yeah, it depends. Typically, cities charge for 1,000 gallons of usage, and they usually range between $3 and $5 per thousand. NOAA will purge out 360 gallons a month. So you're talking like very minimal.
Okay. All right. Yeah. At the, what, $10, something like that? Maybe less than
If that. Maybe less than that.
Yeah. I didn't do math all that quickly, Dan.
I didn't either.
Sounds good.
You guys have been with Innovation DuPage for a little less than a year. Dan, I mean, this is just one of these companies that helps to grow because of what you guys do at Innovation DuPage, which then helps communities grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have about 10 clean tech resources where they're really trying to have a better earth and really trying to protect the environment. And NoahSystem is doing a great job really championing this cause with their innovation.
Okay, I'm at your website now, NoahSystem.co. That's where you want people to go?
Yes.
And if they're interested in more, there's videos, there's ways to see how it works. And you have a phone number. Can I give out the phone number on the website too? The free consultation, 708-320-3197. I'll repeat that again, 708-320-3197 for NoahSystem.co. Dan, innovationdupage.org, yes?
InnovationDuPage.org.
We're out of time. We'll talk again soon, I promise.
Thanks.